coming into this lovely class with all you beautiful ladies. So here we are, tracking surgery, the final one. Does anybody have tracking questions? Let's deal with them first. And if you don't have tracking questions, then we can move into general questions and get ready for the final four, because you're for three of you, you're right at that point now. So are there any burning tracking questions that you have? Yep. So whoever's first to the unmute button, Sheila, Norma, you are set, go. Sheila got there first.
I got it. I got it. Okay, so I have a have you ever heard I feel a bit of a conundrum, so I've continued to check in with the first guardian that I've worked with for my own learning and, bravery and exercising, experimenting sort of thing. I'm kind of feeling torn between, who's oh gosh, like, who I'm who I'm supposed to respect or who I'm bound to in this instance. So it feels like, have you ever heard of a variable where an animal, I don't know if this is happening, but I just have a feeling that there can be many possible outcomes. And every now and then I get this doom feeling, but every single time that I check, the dog is telling me every single time that through every test that he feels like he's in his body. Have you ever experienced a variable where an animal is tells you that because if the guardian loses faith, she does not go through her evolution process or her spiritual growth. If she gives up hope, then she will stop this blossoming that's happening for her right now. And so they don't tell you because, or maybe for someone they ask them not to, but they don't tell you, even if they know that they're not going to see her again. And in that case, am I am I feel I would feel horrible encouraging the guardian and giving her hope if I had a hunch something like that was looming, but if it kind of feels like the dog doesn't want her to know, if that is a thing.
Right. So here's the thing. Everything can be a thing. So
Mm.
just because it's not outlined in the variables training doesn't mean it's not a variable. It's just one that either I haven't come across, or students I've worked with haven't come across, or I haven't come across often enough to put it in as a red flag for you all. So anything can be a thing. So I want to just check, because there's actually a couple of different pieces in there that I think need to be unpacked. Firstly, is this partially hypothetical, or is this what your gut feeling is?
It comes in and out. And when it comes, the gut feeling is that he's not gonna be found and he knows that, and he's wanting me to encourage her because some amazing things have been happening for her because he's gone. And I'm telling her this stuff, but what yeah, when this part comes up, it's and then other times I ask directly and the answer is, well, there are many possibilities. And then it feels like everything he's showing me, he's where he's at, it's where he's staying. So yes, when it does come up, it's literal. But not that he's out of his body, because every time I ask, he's there. But I do wonder if he's not and showing me that he is.
Hmm.
There's a looming, and it may be the guardians that I'm picking up and maybe shouldering for a second in those instances, but there's a looming doom or like a sweet goodbye that is um not sad, feels like a really, really wise knowing. And he but it feels like she can't know because of everything she's doing right now.
Okay. So I have absolutely worked with cases, not specifically tracking, but I've worked predominantly with behavior cases, some health ones, where the animal is, it's very clear to me that the issue can't be resolved because that would thwart the learning that the guardian is going through and needs to go through for their spiritual fulfillment. So, in terms of a generalized variable, absolutely, I have come across that where I know that I'm not privy to the root cause of the issue at that time because that's what they need to work out together. But that's always come to me very clearly. So I'm able to explain that to the guardian. And in each, oh, I'm thinking of 3 cases in particular, in time to come, they each came back to me and said, oh my goodness, this is where we are now. Thank goodness I didn't sell my well, one of them was a horse. Thank goodness I didn't sell my horse because he was becoming dangerous to ride. And now he's leading the way in a training school for disabled children. But they had to work through the stuff before they got there. So yes, it's absolutely possible that the animal has a. Remember, this came up yesterday. I think it was after Diana's input at the accountability call and her experiences, where I was saying to you, even when we work really deeply with animal communication, we're just scratching the surface of the potentiality that is out there for cross species communication and whatever else. And so, bearing that in mind, I believe it's absolutely possible for this boy to know that just knowing what is right for his guardian at that moment. So I absolutely believe that's possible. Where you're in a tricky position is you have a knowing on one level, which isn't always 100% of the time. So we need to bear that in mind as well. But you have a knowing on one level. When it shows up, that knowing feels very strong and very sure that this boy is never going to be found. And then you have a moral dilemma. Do I keep instructing the guardian and they're going out filled with hope and there actually isn't any hope? So that's your kind of moral position, and that is a tricky one. That really is a tricky one. How does it feel? I'm going to ask you a question, then I'm going to have to get the door open because there's nobody here, and I'm needing something for next week's funeral, which I've ordered. So how does it feel to know that you're the animal communicator? You don't need to have that moral dilemma. You're just passing the information that you get. Have a think about that, and I'll get your answer when I come back.
Hope everyone else's tracking is going well. Very difficult.
Badly is going badly.
Badly?
Don't like it at all.
Okay.
Do you?
It's challenging. It's I think scariest. It's the hardest one.
It is.
Yeah.
The hardest one.
Has there been any resolution for anybody?
Not
No.
for me.
Yeah, I don't even. Go ahead.
As well, I think, which adds to it because you pick up the emotion of the animal, but the emotion of the guardian as well, and it's a real tug sometimes. How much information?
Yeah. More intense.
Okay, so how does it land for you when I say you are just the animal communicator? Your job is to receive from the animal, translate as best as you can, and pass factually to the guardian what you received. And then how does that land for you?
Yeah, it helps a lot because a lot of it feels like dependent on how the guardian does, and her doing her best for the best outcome means her not knowing that possibility.
Yeah.
So it's like I have to keep my mind off of it to possibly help him come home in that one doorway. if I'm making sense. So it does help because it feels like that's the only way to be helpful, really.
And remember, it's always about stating factually what you've got. So if you're just stating factually what you've got, you're not leading her on a wild goose chase. You're giving her the
Mm.
information that her animal friend is wanting her to have. And then there's another part of me, and please, anybody, feel free to disagree, but there's another part of me that's also thinking, is it even any of our business? Like, is it any of our business as to what their soul contract is and what she's meant to do and experience? Is that any of our business to intervene and try and change that trajectory? It's just another angle to look at it from. But I think if you're just sharing factually what you've got, and then maybe even, I mean, I don't know how this feels for you, but even saying something like, are you emailing, texting, speaking? How are you exchanging information?
It was email and speaking.
Okay, so this would be easier done speaking. So you
Okay.
could say something like, how are you feeling out of 10 in terms of hope of finding him? So she's given you a kind of concrete number. So it just gives you a gauge as to whether she's lost all hope or whether she still has hope. Now, some people find it difficult to put a number. So just, be as flexible with that as you can. And then you do have the right to share your honest opinion based on the findings that you've got. So you could say something to her like, so say it's a high number, she's still got hope. So you could say to her, I'm really happy to hear that. And certainly in the information that he's giving me, he wants you to have. Do you mind if I share what I'm also feeling, but I can't necessarily quantify it in any great way because it's really just a feeling and a hunch. Would that be okay if I shared that with you? And then you could say to her, I'm getting the feeling that your boy is leading you right now more on a spiritual level than a tracking his physical body level. And it feels that there's much more of that at play here. Don't quite understand it. Probably can't answer any questions you've got, but if you've got any, please ask me and I'll do my best. But I'm just getting this feeling that this journey that he's taken you on is less of a tracking his physical body journey and is more of a spiritual soul searching journey. And that's just kind of where I'm sitting with it. And I feel hopeful about that outcome for you. And something like that, how does that sit for you?
Okay. I wrote this in reflection, so that's funny. I've been telling her this, but I think I maybe need to be more direct now because I'm telling her, kind of sprinkling it in, and it's his messages too, but it feels highly dependent on if I'm making sense here, on her letting go and creating with her because she's choking and that's where her action is coming from. And I know in many cases that's how you find somebody, but he keeps sharing with me it's about her letting go. And that's not letting him go, but that will bring him home somehow. But then there's that little thing of it depends. And I don't know if there's extra to it, but he does keep saying that. And I think I'm just not being direct enough
Yeah.
because that's
And being
weird
direct
to help
with this
somebody.
kind of news isn't always a pleasant place to be.
Yeah.
But if it feels morally and ethically right for you to not inadvertently create hope and send out search parties where you really feel that you've passed that stage, and if that's important for you on that kind of moral and ethical level, then it's about finding your way to say that. Because
Mm.
you need to, and this is for everyone, whatever your decisions are in any of the cases that you ever work with from now until when you leave this earth, you have to be able to sleep at night with the decisions that you make. and what you share. So everything that I teach you is coming from decades of experience and having gone through lots of heartache and upset and watching guardians be upset. And so I'm bringing teachings to you to help avoid those experiences for you, but you're all going to have your own experiences anyway. And anything that I teach you it because I believe that at the time of teaching, it's the best course of action for you to take, or based on experience, it's the better course of action to take. But you will always have that decision. Each and every one of you will always have that decision to make in any given moment as to how you deal with something. And if it flies in the face of what I teach you, but it means that you feel good within yourself and you can sleep at night better, sleep at night better. Do what feels right for you always, because every situation is unique. Every situation, even if you're all tracking the same animal, you'll all have your own experiences of that, and some of them may be wildly different from each other, but you've all got your own experience of it. You've got your own relationship with the guardian, and you've got your way to show up and do the work. And if that means that you want to do something or say something that I wouldn't recommend, or I've said I wouldn't recommend you do this, if that feels right for you in the moment, please know that you have my absolute permission, not that you need it, but you have my permission to do that. This work is all about finding your unique way to do it, and a big part of that is you've been able to rest easy with yourself. Does that make sense, everyone?
Yeah.
So Shayla, there's a couple of things I wanted to unpack. So was it real or hypothetical? We've got that bit. And then exploring what your role is. So just your role as the communicator. Remember, first part of tracking is not your responsibility to find them. We make it our responsibility, we feel it, but it's not your responsibility to find them. And maybe, who knows, maybe she will find the body dead.
Mm.
You know, if he's no longer here, then maybe she will, maybe she won't. But if you're really feeling conflicted, I would tune into, is it time to have an honest but sensitive conversation around this?
Mm.
And that might be his greatest gift to her.
It feels like this whole, sorry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought something else that I meant to ask you, but I think we've probably covered it. Do you believe that he's no longer alive in his physical body?
I believe he is in his physical body. Every test I'm doing, it feels like he is. But there is that weird, I don't know if it's a looming sense of future or possibility. Is when I ask, it's feels like some sort of divine thing that depends on her. And boy, if I told her that, she's gonna put more pressure on herself.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I feel like it'll mess up.
I
Right.
wouldn't go there. So it feels to you that he is actually still alive and in his physical
Yeah.
body, but he's
Mhm.
not meant to be found at this moment then.
Yeah, it feels like he keeps asking me to tell her to release, to stop choking the search, but for her to bring him home on a different level. But then as he's
Right.
telling me
Okay.
this stuff, there's that looming goodbye, even though he's saying it depends on her creating it on a different level.
Okay, so let's just put it right out there. That's still goodbye, because that's still goodbye to the old relationship.
Mhm.
So if we think about this in its biggest, broadest version, then that goodbye that you're feeling doesn't mean goodbye, I'm not coming home. It could also mean goodbye to the old relationship, or goodbye to what she once was and what I once was, and hello to the new level that I'm coming home on.
Mm-hmm.
I would perhaps do a little bit of checking in around the soul contract. If you haven't already done that, what is a soul contract? And what, if anything, is there still something that needs to be fulfilled in soul contract? That will give you some really big clues. Then the other piece, and I've just lost it. Soul contract. Oh yes. Does he need for anything to, and you want to ask this very directly, does he need for anything to change for him to either be found or return home? Which brings another question in. Is he able to return home?
Mm-hmm. We think he's stolen, or but I'm creating opportunity for him to be free, but it still feels like you said, I need to ask those things because
Yeah.
he keeps talking about her creating an opportunity for him to get free and come back, but it's all her spiritual, mental level in a different way, not by action
Okay.
and force.
So that changes the playing field a little bit. So if he's stolen, we want to be asking, and I'm sure you will have already done this, can he get out? Is there a way that he can escape? And if he did, is there a way he can find his way home? Because what we've got here, and this is for everyone, what we've got here is a scenario where if we put the stolen to one side, because that does impact for sure, but so we put that to one side. What we've got here is a scenario where he's saying that he wants to come home, but the guardian needs to do some kind of evolution in her spiritual growth before he can do that. So that's really your condition. So you want to really check that out. Is that a condition of his return? And if she's able to do that tomorrow, will he be coming home? Now, because he's stolen, that kind of creates a little bit more complexity. But this is where these questions are really important, because sometimes animals leave for different reasons, and they either will not return home until something has changed, or they've just decided they're not returning home because they don't trust that the change will happen. So it's really checking in on all of those levels. Soul contract. What's the soul contract? What's still outstanding, if anything? Is there anything outstanding on the soul contract still to be completed? Given that you believe that he's stolen, is he able to get out of where he is? If so, is he able to make his own way home? Then if he were able to get out tomorrow, would he be going straight home, or does he need the guardian to put changes in place in order for him to want to return home?
Okay. From what I know, he can't get out, but we've set up the shine the light, the map, his guides helping him find, but I've not gotten more into those other questions.
But I would definitely be focused. So you know that he can't get out by himself. So you want to put that
Cannot.
hypothetical question to him. If you could get out tomorrow, if there was a magic wand and you could abracadabra, get out tomorrow, would you be going straight home? Yes or no? And if it's a yes, then I would just get curious and say, I'm really curious then, because you said that you need X, Y, and Z to happen before you return home. So can I just check I've understood that properly? And if it's no, that's interesting. What's stopping you going home? And it will likely be the things that he needs to have changed at home before he will return.
Okay.
And then that gives you something that you can talk quite directly with the guardian about as well. That she can get working on the inner work.
Yeah. She's trying, but she is up and down.
Of course.
Yeah.
And what's the choking? Where is she choking the search?
I feel, and she's confirmed, and the pup has sent messages that it's more of she's doing everything that a guardian should do. She's the perfect in terms of search and rescue. She's doing everything. She's checking every location. But I just feel, and I'm being told, it's coming from a place of I don't have it and I don't trust it, therefore pushing it away. And and that this is working on that level because she's opening back up to herself and her magic and her something that she confirmed she had as a kid, like her being more in her spiritual self
Yeah.
and creating
And
on
this
that
is, yeah, so this is really opening up the door to all of that she's probably shut the door on, and maybe
level.
that's part of the soul contract.
Yeah.
But the more you can get information around the soul contract, the more you can understand why certain actions have happened. So it'll be
Okay.
interesting to see what comes out of the soul contract.
Mhm.
And that might bring closure all in its own right, Shayla.
Mm.
But I think really you're just sitting with all of this. You have to do what feels right for you as an animal communicator. You don't want to hide anything from the guardians. I would find ways to have honest conversations. And ultimately, none of it is actually your responsibility or your business. If this boy has decided that he's not coming home or has decided to run away in order to spark this journey that she's to go on.
Mhm.
So even if she's upset, sad, it sounds like you've got a good relationship with her. But even, and this is for everyone, even if your client is sad, frustrated, angry, and takes it out on you, it's not about you. It's just they've got the news they don't want to hear. That's it. Got the news don't want to hear. And yeah, lots of people don't respond well to news they don't want to hear. And they're just projecting it back to you, but it's not on you ever. Has that been helpful? Is there anything that we missed there, Shayla?
I don't think so. Yes, it's been very, very helpful. Yes, you've confirmed that I just need to be more direct and
I think
really
so.
feel into that contract. And yeah, thank you. It's given me a lot of more
And
direction.
depending what comes out of the contract, that actually might create your conversation starter as well.
Hmm.
You can use, depending what comes out, of course, but if it comes out around this topic, then you can say it's really interesting. Today I asked him about soul contract, and this is what he's given me, and that further feeds that hunch that I've been feeling, that this is more about you going on a journey of spiritual exploration rather than going on the tracking journey. The tracking journey is the catalyst
Mhm.
for the spiritual
Mhm.
journey. And that's what I've been feeling the last couple of sessions that I've done. How does that sound to you?
Mhm.
And if she says, "Oh, it's all bullshit," that what nonsense, you just say, "Okay, then that's fine. It's probably best that I withdraw my services now, and I recommend that you go and see Alison, you know,
She'll
or
take care of
whoever, Norma, Diana." I wasn't picking on you, Alison. It's just you were the first name that threw up there on the screen. So I doubt
Mhm.
very much if she's going to say that. But if that's the case, know that you can walk back from that and say, "Okay, it's probably time that I draw a line under this now," because that's what I feel, and I don't think I can be of service to you if we're on different pages.
Okay, best to be prepared for that. Luckily, she's already agreeing about this. I just have
Yeah.
hopefully more direct won't upset the boat. But if she does, I'll send her over to Allison. She'll be in good hands.
And you can also say that to your client. How are you feeling in terms of hope, or do you have been, or you might not, you might take that right out and just go straight in with, "I've been getting quite strong hunches the last couple of times, and I know that we've spoken around them, but I wonder if you would be up for an honest dive into this hunch that I'm feeling about the purpose of the tracking and what's actually going on here." She's probably going to say yes. And then
Mhm.
you just have the conversation. And you can actually pre-frame it by saying, "I don't want to upset you. I know how grief-stricken you are over the loss of your boy. The last thing I would want to do is add any upset to you. So this is just my hunch. It doesn't mean that it's the truth. It's just what I'm feeling. And then you've already laid it out that you don't want to upset her. That's not your intention.
Gives me, yes, wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sheila. Norma, you had a question as well, my lovely.
Mine's just a quickie on the third case study. I think is supposed to be due this Thursday. I'm not going to be able to get it done by Thursday, so
So I've been thinking about this most of today, actually, because Alison, you're in the same predicament. And Sheila, did one not come in from you, Sheila? Have you not put your third one in?
No, not this week. I actually just wrote about that I too am having difficulties and
All
may not
right.
make it.
I thought I saw it on the schedule. So here's where it's at, and I'm not bothered either way what you do. It's up to each of you really. But I'm off next week, so I'm not available to do any assessments next week. And then you're moving into your final four. So given how late in the day it is to this week, and you're all shaking your head saying no, that you're not going to be able to get that done. So you do have the option to just not submit it. That is an option for you, and you can still go through to your final four. You don't have to do that last tracking case if you don't want to, because your final four, unless you are desperate and geared up for doing tracking work when you finish this program. Is anybody? I can see the faces. So unless you knew that tracking was your thing, then I would work with you and see if we could find a way to make that happen. But if that's not likely to be where you're going to go, you're not going to have a tracking case as one of your final four. You're not going to have a tracking case. So that's not going to happen. You're going to have a behavior, a health, or transition. That'll be in one of those three categories. Nobody's going to give you a tracking case to do on your final four. It's never happened ever in all the years that I've been doing this. It's not likely to happen, and you can just come back to me and it'll be a no. So nobody's ever given anybody a tracking case. So if you want to, you can just take the pressure off yourself and not do that third, not try and cram that in when you're already busy. Alison, I know you're up to here at work. Norma, you're moving house. I was going to say recovering. I'm not even anywhere near recovering from my mum's house move. So, so that is an option that you have. If you do want to do your third one, where I have the challenges is where I fit that in, because we're now at that point in the program where the case study support finishes and we're moving into final four, which I was going to talk to all about here just now anyway, just to make sure that you're all feeling okay. So it's up to you guys, but you don't have to do it if you don't want to. You can still, you're still going to be well enough equipped to go into your final four, minus one tracking case.
Okay.
I'd like to try to get it in if it's a little late, but still Wednesday.
Yeah.
The day I'm supposed to. I know there would be no video call that's out, but would we expect written feedback?
No, I would just do a video. I would just do a video and shoot you a video.
Okay.
It just wouldn't be live.
Okay.
So I would just, get your thing up and say, right, you did this well, you did that well, and that would be it. So you would have a video feedback as you usually do, but it wouldn't be a live one. I would just need to find time somewhere over the next couple of days to get that done, and that's the tricky part. That's the tricky part. So, and if I'm being really bullshit, it would just be like, no, you've missed the submission. Like, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's finished. But if anybody really wants to do it, I'm not going to be arsey about it. I'll get the feedback done. Can't guarantee that it'll be done before I finish. I've got quite a lot to do before I finish, and just not in the best headspace for doing the stuff that I don't really like to do, if that makes sense. This stuff's okay. This stuff's okay because I love you guys and I love what we do here. So that this is okay. But the stuff that I don't enjoy doing, that I have to do, that's just feeling like torture right now because I just don't want to do it. I just want to be like a toddler and stamp my feet and go. But I don't have that option with some of the stuff. So I will be cancelling the masterclass that I'd scheduled for tomorrow. It felt fine when I booked it in. It was feeling okay yesterday. It's not feeling okay today. So I'm not doing the how to increase your accuracy. I haven't put anything out yet about it. So that'll just be I might do it later tonight, or it might just be tomorrow, where I just say I'm not doing that class. I'll just leave it till next month. The Connect and Communicate class, I'm still happy to do that for you guys. But yeah, so I'm just in that space where I know I've already got quite a lot to do before I break off. And I'm finding that a bit like treacle. So I'm not sure when I would get your video feedback done. It might need to be when I come back. So does that answer everybody clear about tracking? You can just leave it if you want to leave it. If you want to do it, get it into me by tomorrow. And if I can get it done before I go away, I'll do that. Otherwise.
No, I'm not doing it.
All right, okay. I think that's the right decision, Alison.
It is definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely the right decision. For sure. You've just got too much on, and it's just. I mean, I'm doing the same here. It's like, right, what can I get off my plate? What is an absolute commitment to like? So my commitment is to all of you. My commitment isn't to people that are showing up for a free class for the millionth time. So it's like these hard decisions. It's not because I don't care. It's just when your energy is where it is, or your mood's where it is, you just have to make these tough decisions. So I definitely think that's the right decision for you, Alison. I'm glad you've made that decision. Yeah, when I saw your email, I was like, oh, the first thing I'd said to Louise was like, that doesn't sound like Alison at all. She must be up to here. So yeah, just let it go. It's not going to impact any of your ability to do the Final Four. It's not. You've already got what you need for the Final Four. I just think it's important that people have a go at tracking, because so many people don't, and then they get scared of it. And what I've discovered is the two trackers that I've had on my team, both of them did not want to do it when they were at this stage of the program, but then they did it and they were actually amazing at it. So you just never know. But for some people, it's just an area that they're never going to go to after they finish the program. So you have that choice there. But please, all of you, don't stress it unless you want to do tracking, and you've said that you don't. So don't stress it.
Can I ask a question that is not tracking related, please? So I communicated with a horse the other day, and the first thing that came through was that the animal is grieving. Can an animal grieve for an animal, another horse, that's been its companion, that is going to be put to sleep in a couple of days' time?
What do you think?
Oh, that's the first thing that came through. So I didn't know that at the time, that this other horse was going to be put to sleep. Yes, I think it can, because my heart's just gone.
Could you grieve for somebody in your friend circle or family circle that you know is going to die in the next couple of days?
Why didn't I think of it like that?
Because you're busy just now. You're stressed out just now, so you don't have that cognitive ability to think through the question. That's why you didn't think of it.
But I said to the guardian that the horse is grieving, and he said to me, oh no, his companion's going to be put to sleep in 2 days' time. Do you think it's possible for that to happen? No, I know, yes it is.
Mm.
So the best thing that you can do for that horse is to explain what's happening
Yeah,
and just let them know.
Yeah.
I worked many years ago. I think the story's in my book, actually. It was a long, long time ago, about 20 years ago, actually. I used to have a clinic in a town not far, a town between here and where home is. So that's how I know how long ago it was. And it was a horse that was incredibly aggressive and was becoming dangerous to ride. And the rider had had this horse for years and years and years and had never had any problem with him at all, and did not understand what this behavior was. And it was grief and anger, because the last time he saw his field companion was when the guardian took him out the field and she never returned him. So he was angry, sad, didn't know what she'd done with him, like all of that. So I think just even explaining, and if you know anything around the reason why the horse has been put to sleep, so if it's ill health,
Yeah.
then that's what I would angle on. I would say, did you know, use your reality check kind of sequence. Did you know that he or she was poorly? And you might get a yes, you might get a no. And then if they say yes, you could then follow that up with saying something like, well, we didn't realize quite how poorly he or she was, and there's nothing that we can do to help him or her. And this is the kindest thing that we can do so that he or she's not in pain anymore. And that's the angle that I would go. And then ask, is there anything that you need that we can support you with, either in the lead up to, because I'm guessing it'll either be today, tomorrow, that the
I don't
horse
know
will be-
that date.
right. So if you've got time,
Yeah.
then you could ask him if there's anything that he needs before he or she's put to sleep, and anything that he might need after. And if it's too late, then you're just explaining. That's all you can do.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good.
Any other questions?
I do have one.
Oh,
If-
right, okay, your mic's open then, Diana.
Oh, okay. So just quick, is it ethical if a dog has been found, no one's claimed him, and there's someone who is not exactly with him because the dog is waiting to be claimed in a shelter, but he's on the list to adopt him? Is it ethical to do a reverse tracking for that person to find out where the dog wants to be, or if he's belongs somewhere?
Let me check if I've understood. So there's a missing dog in a rescue centre up for adoption, and somebody is interested in adopting that dog, and they want you to see how he landed there.
This person is directly responsible for catching this dog who was roaming the area all winter. And yes,
right,
no,
okay.
adoption.
Yeah, I think that's okay. Where the one place where my clear rule on don't communicate without guardian's permission is if an animal's lost. You know, if an animal's lost, then we don't know who the guardian is, and we're communicating with them to help them to either reunite them back home, or to find out, if they don't want to go back home, what they would want or need moving forward. And the fact that it sounds like the dog wardens approached you, or is this person a dog warden, or just a member of the community?
Yeah, it sounds like he's just a member of the community, and now the dog is in the holding place, but he's the one who caught him and is first on the list to adopt him now. And so he's wondering.
Right, okay. So yeah, I think that's okay, because there's no guardian and he's likely to become the guardian. He also has a vested interest because he caught the dog. But really what you're doing here is a fact-finding session. Can you tell me what brought you to here? What was your life like before? All that, you're fact-finding in a bid to help the dog, and also potentially you can use that information to match him up most ideally to a new home or guardian. I think that's okay.
Okay.
Good luck with that one. Diana.
This is more around a transition case but it's one I've sort of pushed off, really, as in I've seen the people as a vet, but they've been very reluctant to bring the dog in. They brought the dog in for a scheduled euthanasia appointment sometime last week, and Sarah, same dog supposedly has dementia. Sarah was playing with said dog in the waiting room and getting the whole story off the guardians rather than just the part they'd chosen to tell me. And it transpired that this dog, which is this person's autistic grandson's dog, was behaving aggressively with her and stopping her going into her grandson's room with any food because he thought she had killed his dad, this woman's husband, who had dementia. Yeah. So the dog thought this woman has killed her own husband. Yeah. And I just said to Sarah, I said, well, what if that dog is right and correct? And indeed she did, because she, in her little mind, is not at peace with the death. She thinks that her husband is haunting her through the dog. Her husband is within the dog and she wants to kill it. It's a really...
Jeez.
Yeah, geez, yeah, you can see why I went, yeah. Yeah.
Bloody hell. I've never, ever come across anything like that. My phone's now on its third ring into me. Can I just check on my
you answer
son?
it, yeah.
And then I'll come back to that. That's wild.
That sounds like it should be on a TV show, like, with all due respect, like a murder mystery, or oh my goodness.
Well, it's really thingy, because I said a while ago when I first got on, they said, oh, she's fine. And I said, I don't like her. Yeah. And I thought, and I discovered more and more I don't like her. And she'd been angling after this dog being put down. But she only told me the half of the story she wanted me to hear, which was the dog pacing around and being restless at night, and walk in circles. But he's on guard trying to keep her away from his boy.
Whoa.
It's a bit heavy. Yeah. I do know dementia's awful to live with, but it's like, really, it's a bit of a quandary, is that one?
But if her grandson is autistic and the dog is his support animal,
tell me. And she was willing to pull him through that. She's horrible. It's only part of this. I'm not mentioning any names, so it's not thing.
No.
Yeah, she brought 2 young dogs into the house probably a couple of years ago, maybe 3 now, which this other dog absolutely cannot stand, and she should never have done it. And it turns out that her grandson had paid for them. Yeah. And making my life hell. And then Sarah discovered what the other dog was doing is he knows these young dogs are not meant to go upstairs, and he'd been carefully opening the dog and letting the 2 little ones upstairs so they got a rollicking and a bollocking. So I thought he certainly hasn't got dementia if it's clever enough to work that out. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
That is a tricky one.
Yeah.
How would you even?
I said to Sarah, I said, and how on earth did you manage to say that diplomatically to this woman? Because I mean, that's not one of my strong points. That's too direct. And she said, I just told her, well, that's what the dog thinks, and that's why he's behaving like that with you.
Oh my goodness.
And I said, this was last week, I think it was about Tuesday, and I said, I'll have you, I don't bet, I said, but I'll have you bet she doesn't come back on Friday. And I asked her today, I said, did she come back? And she said, no. She said, but her grandson did. So she said, I told her grandson, I
have to go. I need to go and phone the emergency services. My son is stuck 100 foot below he can't get out. His friends managed to get out. He said it's a really tricky, and my son's super fit and athletic. He does kickboxing and all sorts. So I'm really surprised that he can't, if his friends got out, I'm surprised that he can't get out. So he's stuck, as I say, 100 foot below, and they don't know how deep that water is. So I need to go and get a boat.
You go and rescue your son.
I'm gonna go rescue my son, then we'll come rescue your dog. We'll find out we'll get to the bottom of that, okay? Just not gonna be right now.
It's just like bizarre, but I mean my thing
Very
was
bizarre.
Like, not even going there.
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard of. Let's bring that to the next call, and we'll troubleshoot that at our next call, Diana. Okay. But I need to fly just now, everyone. Thank you so much for your understanding.
Go and sort your son. Okay.